this is Rumor, and today I thought I would give you a little tour of my altar space. I am definitely zoomed out here just to show the whole wall here. With my Buffy shrine to the left, my books on all things tarot, metaphysical, etc., and a bunch of decks to the right. But at the center here, if I zoom back in, is my little meditation area, or my meditation station as I have taken to calling it. And I will, well, I was going to put it on a stand, but maybe we'll go in handheld here because I'm not looking to really dig anything out and get too in depth with this, but just as a general thing to show. And I will probably forget where I got things such as this. I want to say this was Wynn Abbott Ceramics. Chalice I bought on clearance there. Anyway, let's get started. This is a big book box that I just have a bunch of random supplies in. My little feather. Oh gosh, like I said, I really don't want to be digging stuff out too much here because I'm going to make a royal mess of it. And I'm just going to say from the outset, pretty much all this stuff I really don't use too much. This is my ritual bag, which I've done a separate video on as to what's in the contents there, but the idea is that it's a little go bag. If I really want all the fixins for my divination purposes, it's all there. So I won't unpack that now. These are just a couple of wooden bowls that I've gotten from Tree Seer, located in Wales, I believe. And here's another one, and just holding my crystals, and these are ones that I will meditate with often. I've got this little box with essential oils inside, and I have my little cauldron, little mortar and pestle. I got this little thistle pitcher. There's a certain kind of like intention setting ritual that I'll do, and the water needs to be replenished accordingly, so I'll pour it out of that when I use it. And the water that I use, I've got this jar here for moon water. So this is water that I'll set out in the full moonlight, and I've got a moonstone in there just for extra charging purposes. And then this is another box similar to what I have for the essential oils. I haven't used this in so long, but gosh, I forget what shop I got these at. But this is like crushed holly. And I've got oak and, just a bunch of things like that. I've got some, I forget what the ingredients are there, the witch dust. So anyway, there was a time when I was much more regular with setting up little rituals, altars, and so forth, and just wanting to sprinkle in some energies, whether for protection or whatever the case might be. I mean, it just kind of depended. But anyway, that's been sitting dormant for a while, unfortunately. But then up here, I've got my salt lamp, rose quartz. This is Lucy. This is a vampire skull. Can you see her fabulous fangs? Yes. And she is made of fluorite. Love her so much. This is I think a Scarlet Temple Lemurian quartz. Little amethyst cluster here. I use this as a charging plate of sorts to cleanse crystals. And right now I've got a brecciated jasper egg here at the moment. It's Mary Magdalene thing, which you'll see in a second. I've got my little palm reading hand here. No, I do not know palm reading. This is purely for decorative purposes. And sitting on it is my Memento Mori chaplet, which I got from CC Agnes on Etsy. This is actual bone. And I believe this is jade, the beads. And then you can select whatever little charms you want at the end to kind of balance it out. So I chose one with Mother Mary, also the Sacred Heart there. Certain significance to that. I had an interesting meditation once where I saw the Sacred Heart, and unbeknownst to me until I discovered later that day that it was actually the Feast of the Sacred Heart that day. Like, I do not observe feast days. I was raised Catholic, but I mean, I'm not like super well versed in, like I said, the feast days and all things biblical and so forth. But I still thought that that was a really interesting coincidence, and so I accordingly got a crucifix that had the Sacred Heart on there too. This little box I have, well, Lunar Intentions moon deck, and basically each of these cards just shows a different phase of the moon and states what the phase is and a corresponding keyword that relates to that phase. The Biddy Tarot little tarot deck that I keep in here. And then here's my little Merkaba tourmalinated quartz pendulum, mala beads, a rose quartz rosary, quartz spheres. Sometimes I might use these selenite palm stones. I also have some hematite if I'm wanting more grounded energy. So yeah, just general little prayer meditation supplies. And this is a sanctuary bell that I use. Space clearing. And I also will use it sometimes to like create a circle, a sacred circle around me. It is setting on stone that I found out in Cornwall. And then I also have a little sapphire here. It just looks like a little like rose unfolding in the middle there. I love it. And I think that there is some ruby intrusions here as well. Wand. I want to say it's hazel, and then a crow's head was carved into it, and crow and magpie feathers that were found also attached. And also found this on Etsy. Just quickly going to the right here, as you can see, I've got a Mother Mary icon there. I have 3 of these little Mary figures in the space around my entire room, and they represent Maiden Mother Crone energies for me accordingly. And this is just a little divine feminine setup that I've got here. This is the card that I drew from the, I think it's just called Divine Feminine Oracle. I pulled Mary Magdalene for this month, and in front of that I also have 3 sets of these little meditation beads. If there is a mantra of sorts accompanying a card that I draw, I will then recite that on the 10 beads that are on this, and I will link to this shop. Cannot remember the name, but I've got a little goddess hanging from the end of that, and then there's just like angel wings, I think, come at the top of all the ones that she sells. So yeah, this box that it's resting on with this rose quartz. This is Rosa, and I didn't introduce this rose quartz here on my table is just rose, but then this is Rosa. And elsewhere in the house, I do have a Rosie and a Rosita. So, sorry, I need both hands for a second here to open this box. This is the rest of the Oracle deck and red reading cloth. And this bowl, I got the same place as the bowls that I featured at my tarot table with the sun and the moon. Also red, very deep red, and depicting the goddess there. And then inside I have rose quartz heart, carnelian heart, and the bricated jasper egg also lives in here. And I mentioned before that it was a Mary Magdalene thing because Mary Magdalene was what I drew this time. As you can see, she's holding the red egg, and there's a whole story that corresponds with that. That's basically why I got that. So every month, regardless of who I'm pulling in that deck, I will sit and meditate holding these 2. And then this is just lending its loving energy, but I can talk more on that another day. Woo! But anyway, yeah, so a lot of divine feminine energy going on here clearly, but then to somewhat balance that out, I do have this icon of Jesus as well, and it's been a really lovely way for me to feel connected still to the religious background that I do have. So I feel like I still can maintain some connection to it without just like swallowing everything and feeling like I have to follow all the rules of it. I'm kind of liberating myself from that. But anyway, this was just a little Mary and Jesus magnet that was given along with the purchase, probably with one of these, honestly. This was from like a gallery in Greece on Etsy that I found. But this image kind of cracks me up because I mean, I don't think that either the historical Mary or Jesus looked like this, but what a sweet face. I love that. And I thought that the artist's treatment here was just really neat embellishment, and it's very like metallic and shiny. Anyway, I've got like a little broom there for, I might sweep out space just for like some figurative cleansing. And as I just accumulate little tokens and things, I kind of hang it from there. These are my crystals, and I'm not going to go through that today. I thought that I could go through my crystal collection as a separate thing someday. Now, back to the altar table. So first of all, here's my little mat. This is for my bum. But diving beneath the surface here. Okay, here we go. First of all, here's another wood bowl carved by, I believe it's Simon at Tree Seer. This is a stone and some lavender that I picked up when I was standing on top of the Glastonbury tour on my birthday last year. These were just like next to me, so I just picked them up. But here is, another reading cloth, a purple one. This is my Mysteries of Mary tarot deck with my Madonnas and Virgins Oracle deck that I use in conjunction with that, and my Divine Doors Oracle deck. I also have, I'm not going to take it out, but here's an amethyst. I think it's an aura amethyst. Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light Oracle. This is like feeling real old school to me. This is like one of the first like little altar table decks that I've had. Here's a labradorite. What do they call these? Is it like seer stone? Something like that? But in here, I have this angelic lightwork deck. That's Alana Fairchild, and this real substantial guidebook with healing practices. Okay, so then in the back here, this is like my altar within an altar. I have some fairy lights strung up in there, so let me see if I can turn those on. There we go. You can see where I just have some lights strung up here. But okay, so basically what's going on here, I just wanted to have a space for ancestor veneration to a degree, and this is a box housing, I've got like an essential oil holder that's stored in there at the moment, and whatever, right now it's covered in a doily because I'm a granny and I love my doilies. These are battery operated candles, same set that can be found at my tarot table. Even though they are battery operated though, they are actually made of wax, which is nice. And they have a timer, a 6-hour timer. So I've got them set to turn on at 6 p.m. So there will always be light under here through the evening, at least until midnight. And the fairy lights I only turn on as needed or wanted. But behind here, speaking of Glastonbury, this is water that I got from one of the sacred wells in Glastonbury. I believe it was the Red Well. So I keep that stored there for whatever purposes I see fit for it. Oh, and right here, this is an incense. Oh my gosh, I keep knocking over this little bowl. Let's get this tray out of the way. But here is an incense holder. I don't burn incense a lot. Actually, the white sage is the only kind I seem to be able to tolerate very well, because otherwise it very much irritates my sinuses. But getting into this, okay, in the far back, this is like a pre-Raphaelite, a print of a pre-Raphaelite painting of Mary's Annunciation. And if we're talking Marys that don't look like what the historical Mary must have looked like, yeah, I very much doubt she looked like that, but she very much looks like a classic pre-Raphaelite model. But then here, propped up by a couple pieces of driftwood that I picked up by Lake Superior, I've got a St. Bridget's cross that I made a couple of years ago. I got the reeds and I watched a YouTube tutorial and made that myself. And I know that part of the tradition is to, like, I think keep it for the year and then you're supposed to burn it, but I just held on to mine, and so it becomes my cross here. I've got, this is like something that you put on like a horse's harness. You find a lot of these at vintage shops, but it's got these keys, and the seller was selling it as like a Hecate reference, like the keys and the crossroads and everything. I mean, that's not what it was made for, obviously, but I got it based on that symbolism, and just to have like a divine feminine presence on this side to balance out, and like a more non-Christian representation, again, just to show like my sort of eclectic spirituality that is transcending the faith I was raised with. But then over here, another freebie that came with one of those icons, bringing in that like masculine. But yeah, so this has become a little prayer space for me to just pay my respects as I feel called to do so. And oh, I am just knocking things down left and right here. Yep, so there we go. That's the altar space. Thank you for joining me today, and I would love to hear about your own sacred spaces that you set up and some of the tools and decorative items, meditative items that you may use. Tell me all about it, and thank you for joining me.